What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Holy cow. I'm about to just say, welcome to Sin's Chat Corner for like the first time in a month and a half, 2 months. Oh my God, it's been such a long time. I'm hoping that you people didn't totally forget about me or hate me now because I've been off the radio forever. Hi, lovelies. This is my very first show back. As usual, I'm running late. What a surprise. I'm always running late. But I'm very excited that I have probably two of the finest, most qualified, and two actually of my favorite musicians in town. And as we all know, if you listen to my show on a regular basis, you already know that I have a particular fondness for the local musicians here in town. So although it's taken me quite some time to schedule the both of them together, I have the husband and wife team here today, which is, of course, Jill Jensen and Jack Grassel both. I'm very, very excited. So before I go ahead and I connect the both of them, there's a couple quick things I want to remind everybody. I have three 1-hour shows tomorrow. So literally I will be on the air from 11 to 12, 12 to 1, and 1 to 2 tomorrow. Those are 3 different of Dana Humphrey's clients, all of which I posted. And forgive me, by the end of this show, I'll be able to reiterate all of them. Also want to remind everybody that I added on an additional Friday show, and that's going to be, of course, Richard Graff. Richard Graff, although you may not recognize him from some of the other shows such as Law & Order or CSI, he is now playing Lucky Luciano on the new AMC called The Making of the Mob, actually. And AMC is huge on groundbreaking new movies and TV series, and so I'm so excited he's playing the lead character of Lucky Luciano. So very, very excited to be hosting him, and that's going to be Friday at 5 o'clock Central Time, and his name again is Richard Graff. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on here and see if we have our illustrious pair so we can get going on our interview. Okay, who do I have?
You have Jill.
Hi, this is Jack.
Okay. Yay,
Hi,
I have you both in my ear. I got nervous there for a minute. I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm running late, and am I going to have them both? And I only saw one phone number, but you're both here. Hi, how are you both?
Hi. Well, we're doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm nervous, and I think I've mentioned this, and everybody who's listening already knows if you've ever heard my show, and even if the two of you haven't, interviewing anyone who is local to me makes me 100% more nervous than it will be the celebrity that I'm doing next week, so to speak. Very, very,
well,
very nervous.
Well, everybody is local somewhere.
Yes, they are, actually. And it's funny. That's why every one of my interviews is celebrity, because the people I'm talking to today, in case you all don't know, Jill Jensen and Jack Grassel both, celebrity to the highest level. First of all, oh, my God, you're on Wikipedia. You're on Wikipedia.
Yes.
Am I a dork that I'm making a big fuss out of that? I mean, this is all big to me. I'm just like, you guys totally do things that I can never do. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we're structuring the interview, and I think I mentioned this to Jill today. I'd like to start off by talking about Jill individually and then Jack individually, and then we're going to talk a bit about how you merged together to become the two that you are and some of the accomplishments and things that you've both done in your career, both together and separately, if that makes sense to you.
Sure.
You're the boss.
Oh, well, no, actually, Jill, you're the boss. I could listen to your voice all day long. So I'm like, Jill, you can just talk all day, and that's perfectly fine. So we'll start off with Jill. We'll give Jack a little break. And Jack, certainly by all means, if you wish to intercede and add anything, feel free. She is your wife and musical partner, so I'm not excluding you. I'll just start with her. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
To those of you that don't know, Jill Jensen, of course, has not always been partnered with Jack Grassel. She is a mother, a wife, a sister, an aunt, and a stepmother. I think one of the cutest names that I've never gotten to call her, but I did find out that's so cute. She calls herself Mama Tiger. How cute is that, right? That's absolutely adorable. Mama Tiger. I think that's so cool. Don't worry, I did a lot of homework here. I know that she also attended Washington Park High School, of course. So my very first question to you, because I was unable to find out in researching you, Jill, is tell us a little bit about how you became versed in your musical training in terms of vocally. Was there education that you took part in, and if so, where and for how long?
It's been sporadic. It's been probably since birth. This singing is something that You kind of open your mouth and it happens. And I have had the kind of life that people have seen in me, maybe things I don't even see in myself. So I feel that I've been golden. People will say, oh, come with me and do this with me and come with me and do that. And that began probably in grade school, where someone would say, oh, you need to be in this choir, you need to be in this group. And it would escalate through high school. You need to be in this band, you need to be in this performance troupe. I think you should join this, do that. And it was loose that way. I think I would have to say that my training was simply by doing it. I did pursue at a music conservatory some lessons and was told to just go out and sing. I have contacted several people that I enjoy and pursued private lessons with them. And other than that, it was just all being within choirs, working with directors in different theater groups or performance troupes where I've been told what to do, music directors, music stylists within the confines of these shows and programs where they will just simply make suggestions or have me do something or say something, and that's sort of the way that is. Actually, singing has been something that I've just always done. Everybody has something that they gravitate to. You love doing radio and writing, Cindy, and Jack has always enjoyed music. It just shows up. Everybody has gifts. Everybody has a skill bank that they're innately born with. But as Jack puts it, he doesn't think that a lot of it is as much talent as it is an excellent work ethic. If you are going to get better at something that you do, it requires a self-discipline and working at it. And I confess that Jack far exceeds me in that. He's got a more superior work ethic than I. And I also have to add that why I was primarily interested perhaps in pursuing things that involve acting. And while it's difficult enough to get things that you can do if you're a vocalist, it's even harder if you're an actress, I think. And so I love choosing material that to me are one-act plays. It's something that allows me to act within the confines of the music, so that makes it a lot of fun. I hope that wasn't such a long-winded answer to that.
No, I understand what you're saying, actually. One of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking was, obviously, and of course, and I'm not speaking to you as far as Jack as your husband right now, but from a musical standpoint, has Jack taught you things either about music or about vocal range or about music in general that has made you a better performer?
He has helped me recognize what the sweet spots are within my vocal range, and he has helped me chart to write down arrangements the way I want songs arranged or that he sees them. We have arrangements so that we can simply hand out these charts to sidemen when we were using them. We have distilled more and more down to being just a duo. It's a lot of fun, and it's and we travel light and all fit in the same car in the same bed, and we can fill a room or a small room as need be. But yes, so he's been able to write the music, chart the music, help me see and hear where my voice would fit, and we've worked on things like that. He's also been such a strong supporter of my music that I think simply having more confidence has made the music better all the way across the board. Having someone of Jack's musical caliber allow me to be with him musically, is certainly a big boost to what I'm doing. When we first got together, when you talked about us as a couple, I fell in love with the man, and certainly the music was a bonus, but I didn't want him to hear me for fear that he'd have to say something nice or that he didn't feel, or that the music would get in the way of the relationship. I just was very, very fearful of that. So it was maybe 6 months later that we realized that we could put something together and make it work.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, I want to flip gears a little bit because, of course, most people that know you right now recognize you, of course, as Jill Jensen being, of course, with Jack. As you had started to say, in case some of you don't know, I know that Jill has done television commercials, you've done videos, you've done plays, that actor side of yourself, let's say. Talk to us a little bit about your first production and how you ended up signing on, because I know you're signed on with Lori Lynn's, of course, management. And tell us what it is that you derive from that art form that's different from what you get from music.
Oh, personal satisfaction, certainly. There's that artistic part of me that always wants to do more that's theatric, I guess.
Okay.
It's fun to step into someone else's skin. It's fun to put on. It's satisfying to delve into a character or a situation and be able to send that across. First production, boy, that would be tough. It was probably a play in junior high school, and it was a musical play.
Okay.
And then I put together a talent show and wrote some parts for a bunch of people, did that. Then from there it's just, evolved. Auditioning for things and getting cast and being excited to be a part of wonderful people. When they say there is no people like show people, it's really not kidding. I haven't run into snarky, mean people. Everybody seems, when you're working as an ensemble on something, whether it's a show or a play or something, everybody wants it to be the best thing that it can be. And they're always very helpful with each other. So the experience has been really, really very good all across the board, I have to say. When you're with kindred spirits, when you're with people that understand how you feel about something and your passion for it and what you love doing, it's just easy to be together and supportive.
Definitely. Oh, I imagine so, certainly. Now, I couldn't tell for sure, and maybe I just missed this. Have you and Jack together actually performed in a production? And I don't mean, obviously, musical performance, but I mean an actual acting or theater or commercial together before?
No, we haven't done that. A commercial? Boy, that's a good point. Yes, we did. Jack wrote some music, and I did some singing for a commercial for a firm in Milwaukee a while back, and I forgot about that. And I think that's really about it. It's collaborative outside the arena of music. We've done concerts, we've done lectures together at schools, we've done presentations in all different arenas that have to do with our music. But as far as me acting and him being somewhere involved in the production, I don't think we've really done that. No, he's shaking his head. See, you can see his head shaking. No, see.
So we're hearing that Jack saying no, not at present time.
Yeah.
Okay,
we haven't done that.
Now, okay. Now, one of the things, of course, that I'll be addressing to Jack in a little while is, of course, one of the things that I find fundamental is sometimes the part and parcel of a performer in general is based upon some of the inspirations. And I would gather that, and this is just a guess based on what I know of you, one of your major inspirations was your sister Janet. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about your inspirations, period, both personal-wise and on a professional level, whether it be local or otherwise. Do you think you mirror or parallel anyone, or is there someone that you do wish to parallel, per se, in terms of talent and such? Because you have that voice that, to me, matches some of the greats out there. Actually, you remind me of Liza Minnelli. I don't know if anybody ever tells you that, but it's true. To somewhat of a degree, she's got that sultry sound and tone and demeanor in the way that you stand on stage and command your audience. But I'll let you speak about that. Obviously, your sister and your own inspirations.
Well, certainly my mother. My mother was a great encourager, and I lost her when I was quite young. I was 25, and so when she was around, she just loved everything that I did, and I believe she had done some singing on the radio herself. boy, inspirations. At one point I thought, and my father loved Judy Garland and all of these people that had the bigger voice. And certainly you can't hear any of these people without wanting to be like them. They're so wonderful. But then I got to a point, and Jack helped me with this too, was I wanted to sound like me. And in order to do that, and because I have a tendency to be a mimic. And if I listen to any one person or any singer or a talent for quite a while, then all of a sudden I take on those characteristics. I absorb their trick bag, as it were. I have to be careful to sound like me. And to that end, sometimes I listen to male singers so that I can maybe do the material. And I'm very cautious when it comes to repertoire. People might say, oh, you should do a song, and maybe it'll be something that's, let's just say, crazy, all right? Because everybody knows that one. And I think, no, I don't think so. That's been done perfectly by someone already. If I attempted to cover that or try to be that, I could only serve to disappoint. I think I'm much better served simply being me. So that's what I try to do. Even though I admire so many people, the list would be endless. We'd be here for days. It is hard to take all of those things and put them in some sort of a pot that's within you and hope that it comes out yourself.
Without a doubt, actually. And one of the things I wanted to cover with you was the fact that here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to those of you that may not know that aren't from here, to me it would seem as though your type of music, and typically what I would categorize you as is, of course, jazz and soulful performer, jazz/R&B, if you will. That seems to be a dying art here in the state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's just me, and I'll ask your input on that here. Obviously, that's your forte. That's what you perform, and you do it amazingly well. In fact, very few people cover Frank Sinatra or some of the olders, the crooners and such. Why do you think it is that we're losing out on this form of music, and specifically here in our city?
I don't know that I think it is dying, and I don't know that it's as less received. It's always astonishing to me to see what people are doing in recording and on YouTube and so forth. And we don't just do some of those older things. We do a lot more things. We've even got a Dylan tune. But so many of the older rock tunes of yesterday transform themselves well and easily into a more jazzy sounding tune of today. I think the occasion of the recent shows like Glee and all of the, so you think you can sing, or America's Got Talent, or whatever the case may be with Idol, you know, they make them sing and do so many of these tunes that I guess maybe are iconic or part of the All-American Songbook. I don't know. I don't know that I have an answer for that. I think overall, recently we were at an occasion where there was a bigger band, and it was a rock band, and it was a dance band, and we were talking with musicians in general. And it seems that with everyone investing in home entertainment systems and instant gratification, everyone has devices by which they can instantly upload, download, keep music from anywhere in the world. We're surrounded by music at all times. You can't even get your teeth worked on without having music, or buy shoes. And so it's no longer a rarity, a sought thing. People now can, and the drinking laws and so forth, so people can sit in their own home and they can have these concerts, and they have monster screens, and they can flow from a device onto a screen this wonderful music and a concert and everything. So they're thinking sometimes maybe perhaps why should I go out? So the big question is, how can we get people to go to live music, no matter what it is, and support it? And if the place charges a cover or something, so that you get that dynamic live, exciting experience of someone who is performing just to you. So you've got the interaction that's there of performer and audience that is so wonderful, compelling, which is why people go to concerts. You know, they still will do that. And why people, like we were just at this party where there were 2 bands. People have bands there and they're saying, oh, it's so exciting to have this. So I don't know that I totally agree. I think it might be that in general people aren't, the Summerfest attendance was down this year, and we won't get onto that with you because I know, but nevertheless, people aren't pursuing live music perhaps in general. I don't know. And if you go someplace, a venue like a restaurant or a nicer club, maybe they'll have to charge a cover charge so that they can get the higher paid performer in there. And if they do, they sometimes can't survive that at all times. And here the weather's terrible in the winter. People say, "Ew, I saw a snowflake. I won't go out." You know, so it's dangerous. I could die. You know, so it's very strange, and so it's hard for these places to sustain. We look through our contracts folder, and we, you know, every year we rack off how many places have vaporized or are no longer having music. But at the same time, we hearten when we see all the new places that open up and realize that a better place is going to do well if it does have live music. So,
very good answer. That answered my question. Thank you very much. Now, before I switch over to Jack, it's interesting that you brought this up, so we'll address this before I switch over, which is this. One of the neat things that Jack and Jill offer, which I didn't know actually until recently, was that you can actually perform a live Skype concert. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about that, because rarely do I come across a performer, whether it's here or somewhere else, that actually has that on a website and says, you know what, you can hire us and do this. So talk to us a little bit about that experience and what made you merge into that area.
Well, that's something that we're hoping to do more of. We've only had 1 or 2 occasions that has happened, and it's interesting because just recently we're having all sorts of electronic gremlins, and our Skype connection being one of them. We have a nice office, and we have a nice camera, and we have curtains, and we, you know, have done some recording, and we have everything set up. And so if someone does want to do that, and yes, trying to be on the cutting edge of anticipating what would be the needs. People want to go out. They want to get live music. They are electronically savvy. They have a nice big screen. They have the wherewithal that they can connect their device and have this in their home. Now, we recently performed at a large benefit at the casino for beloved Al White, who was going through some medical issues. Now, they were able to put him on 3 great big large screens from his hospital room. And so he could see us and hear us, and we could hear and see him. Now why not take advantage of something like this? So let's just say Cindy Mich could have this wonderful party. She could, you know, say, okay, we're going to have a concert by Jack and Jill. Everybody, you know, bring a bottle and a snack and, you know, whatever, some money, and we'll chip in, and we'll set a time. We've got a credit card here because Jack has a shopping cart on his website. We can process the shopping card. We can, you know, take your order. We can, you know, give you a 1 or 2 hour concert. You can have your friends in your own living room with your own bathroom with your own food. You know, so we're thinking, why not? You know, I mean, it's a delightful sounding concept. So we're hoping that, and thank you for bringing that up. We're hoping that would be a fun thing for people to take advantage of. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know if it raised any more questions.
Oh, definitely. No. Actually, that's exactly what I wanted to address, because I know that oftentimes when I bring someone on the show, they're very, I mean, obviously any person that's gone to see Jack and Jill knows the basics about you. They know where you play. They know what kind of music style you have, etc. They've heard about, you know, the 2 of you, but these are things that make you stand out, I believe, personally, not just your style and your sound, but also some of the benefits that you offer as a couple musically that not everybody offers. And that's important to point out things like that. So thank you so much for that. So I'm going to let you wrap.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh, of course. Now I have to talk to the boss, the other boss, Jack Grassel, for a while, and then we're going to merge the two of you together. So you can take a rest, and now very nervously, I'll talk to Jack if Jack's ready for me.
Okay.
Oh God, he's like right here. Hi, Jack. Okay,
Hi,
I'm going to tell everybody. Just give me 3 seconds. I'm going to read off a few things, just so you folks don't know, or those that don't know, I should say, about Jack Grassel. Let me just say a few things about him. Over the span of time, and he's only 40-plus years old, wink, wink, he has played 11,000 gigs, written 10 instructional books, on top of which, can you believe this? And we'll start with this because my jaw dropped when I read this. You have done almost everything there is to do in the musical world, but you quit music for a short time at the age of 17. That was a jaw dropper to me, and I thought, that's the first thing I'm going to ask Jack is, why?
Well, I started to play my mother's piano when I was 2 years old, when I was able to stand up and reach the keys. So my father took me to the music store when I was 3, and I still remember this, that he came in and said, this little kid has these little fingers. Do you have something he can play?
Aww.
Because the piano's too big for his little fingers. So they gave me a little child's accordion, which they had at that time. Nowadays, they don't have instruments for children, but at that time they did have these little things. So I took to that real well, and it was the right size for me. I could handle it, and I got good at it very fast. My dad always got me good teachers, so when I was 4 years old, I started working, and I started playing concerts for money when I was 4 years old because my Aunt Adeline had a performance troupe that toured. So I would walk on stage as little Jackie Grassel at 4 years old in a cowboy suit, and I'd play and sing the pop hits of the day, and I got paid for it. And so I got a real early start, and then I started playing for weddings and parties on the accordion, and I worked a lot on the accordion until I was about 12 years old, and then I heard rock and roll, and the accordion really was not suitable for that music. So I got a bass guitar, and the guys in 7th grade had a band that played 2 nights a week, and they made really good money. So I was 12 years old, and I started playing 2 nights a week on the bass guitar with this rock band. And I continued through high school, and in high school, there were lots of bars in downtown Milwaukee. And so I was playing 6 nights a week, playing R&B in an R&B band in the bars in Milwaukee. And then in 1967, the race riots caused the entire downtown of Milwaukee to get destroyed. And so all those venues just stopped. And then in the 1970s, I started doing studio work, so I was playing lots of shows, and I had began to play the guitar. And, why did I quit at 17? Because I was drinking too much.
God. Good answer.
He had to quit drinking when he was 17.
Yeah, I started drinking when I was 12. I always looked old for my age, and I was playing in bars when I was 12, and I started drinking too much. So I figured at 17 I would stop playing because I coordinated playing with the drinking. And I stopped drinking, and I stopped playing music when I was 17. And I went into pharmacy school, of all things, and that did not work for me. And I wound up dropping out of pharmacy school after 2 years and going back into music, but I decided to get a guitar because I'd always wanted to play guitar, and the guitar players seemed to get the girls more than the bass players, so I played guitar. And then I had a wonderful career since then playing guitar because I started to do studio work. I played in shows. I played in the bars. 1982, I did, 220-some gigs that year. And so there was one day I did 7 gigs in one day because I was doing studio work. And so now it really is over 13,000 gigs that I've played. And I always had good teachers. I felt that was important. I didn't want to limit myself to local teachers. I figured out who are the greatest guitar players in the world that are alive right now. And it was Tal Farlow in New Jersey and George Van Epps in California. So I started studying with those two guys. I studied with the greatest guitar players that ever lived. And
wow.
I studied with Tal Farlow for 4 years until he died, and I would still be studying with him if he hadn't died. He died in, 1997. So, and I've always had a good work ethic. I practice every day. I practice correctly. I have good posture. I work on my health constantly, and that's what I do. So that's all I have to say about that, I think.
No, that's okay. One thing that I was listening, and I don't know if you had touched on this or not, or people might not be aware of the fact that you have also played piano in the past. And I couldn't recall today whether I've actually seen you recently or since I've met you actually still playing piano. Do you still play? Do you enjoy playing? Do you feel you're proficient at it?
Well, I play a lot of instruments. Over the years, I've had to play a lot of instruments. My latest CD, which is my 20th CD, on that CD I play 11 instruments. And at this point, I could pick up just about anything and in about 6 months probably play it at a professional level. You know, it's just I'm not interested in playing violin. I'm not interested in playing bassoon. But if I was interested in playing bassoon, I could be good at it in a short amount of time. Because a lot of the information transfers from one instrument to another. It's just mechanics, learning how to finger the thing.
Oh, sure. I understand. I want to switch gears a little bit because I had prefaced by saying, of course, you've done 10 instructional books, and obviously we both know that you are a teacher. So a couple different questions relative to that area. First of all, because I am a writer as you are, but my field is obviously very different. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh my, he's done instructional books. And what I find interesting, before you answer the question, is I want to let people know that your personal philosophy is, your purpose is to push guitarists past where they have been. So talk to us a little bit about why that's important to you. And then second of all, and again, this is just this author's viewpoint, I'm thinking to myself, does it ever get just monotonous? Because instructional things to me just sound very technical and very just dull, I guess is the word for it. I'm like, to me, I'd be like, oh my God, this is such dry writing, but you've done it over and over and over again. So talk to us a bit about that passion as it relates to teaching and why it's so important to you to push these guitarists beyond their comfort level.
Well, I push myself past my comfort level. You know, I work out every day on the music, and in the 70s, there were no advanced guitar books, so I had to write them.
Okay.
And, well, I studied with the best guitar players in the world, and these guys would tell me to take information and take it past where they gave it to me. So there's always this uncharted ground, this new ground that I'm treading. I'm not interested in copying other people. I'm interested in playing things on the guitar that have not been played before. And since the early 80s, people have been coming up to me and saying, you don't sound like anybody we ever heard before. Well, that's what I'm after. I'm not interested in sounding like somebody else because those people sound like those people. I don't need to sound like somebody else. I would just be a mere copy that is less than whoever I'm copying, so I'm not interested in that.
Sure.
I want to be an original. And there is also the art of practicing. I am 67 years old, and I practice a lot, and I practice every day, and I'm interested in it. Now, I had to learn how can I constantly advance and be excited about playing. And I already practiced today a long time, and I was excited about it. There's an art to practicing.
Oh, nice. Okay. Now, if I were to ask you, because, of course, again, you have that instructional background. Let's say somebody is listening to the show today, and they're not from here, or let's say they even are a blooming musician. What's the number one thing that you would tell them that would be instrumental for their success as a musician?
Well, wherever they happen to live, they need to find out who the best teacher is and ask the best players who they studied with, and then go study with that person. But if you live in North Dakota in a little town, there probably won't be a great guitar teacher there. And me living in Milwaukee, there were not great guitar players or teachers at the level I wanted to be at, so I had to, when I studied with George Van Epps, I had to, for every lesson, get on an airplane and fly to Los Angeles for my guitar lesson. When I took my lessons with Tal Farlow, he lived in New Jersey, so I had to drive 2 days in my car to go to my guitar lesson, and then 2 days to drive home from my guitar lesson, and I studied with him for 4 years like that.
Wow.
So
I can't even fathom that.
I just thought that the only thing that is stopping me from studying with the best teachers is distance, so I solved that problem. And then I also studied with Jimmy Weibel in California and in Los Angeles. I studied with Billy Bauer in New York, and I studied with Joe Daly in Chicago. I figured I didn't care where these people lived. I would study with them. And right now I'm studying with Lloyd Garber, and he lives in Toronto. So I've always had teachers, and I feel that's important.
Gotcha. I understand. Now,
and so many people, and you know how many guitar players there are in the world. I try to make sure that I always listen to people that are great artists, because it doesn't help me to listen to the guitar played poorly every day. So I make sure I don't. And there are plenty of people that are doing that job, playing it poorly.
I understand. And you, of all people, would know that, obviously, of course. Certainly you are more than a qualified critique as it relates to that.
I need to bring something up here. I heard the interview with Jill, and you asked the question, why is it hard to find good music? Well, Summerfest, for example, what determines who plays on what stage? And what determines who plays at Summerfest is how much beer is sold while those people are playing. And that's the truth.
Right.
So the people that buy a lot of beer and drink a lot of beer at a given stage determine who plays at that stage, because they're about selling beer. It's not about music.
Right. I agree with you. In fact, I've made a very large rant about that the other day. Summerfest is not my friend, and that's reason for it as far as that goes and such. I just feel as though it's just a dying. Well, as I mentioned to Jill, it's dying. Unfortunately, some components, some certain, even just some of the classic places.
Well, there's always people that are looking for excellence, so excellence will never die.
Yay! As long as Jack and Jill keep playing. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Thank you.
Just saying. Throwing that out there. Oh, you're quite welcome. I want to touch another thing on the teaching component before we move on to the next thing for Jack. Talk to us a little bit about, and I'll preface the two classes because I know very recently you had done a 6-week course called The Music of the Earth. And I also note that you had done Music of the Rolling Stones, which was another class you did, which I found interesting. So talk to folks a little bit about these classes in particular, and how often you teach in general. Let's say someone listens to this interview and wants to get involved with being educated by you, how they can do so.
Well, I do give private lessons. I have one student right now, and and I usually teach people who have run out of other teachers. I'm usually like the last step in teaching.
Oh no!
Right now, well, a lot of people bring their children, or a lot of adults come and study with me because they have problems with their instrument. They have hurt themselves playing their instrument, or else they became better than whoever was teaching them, and they need a better teacher. And I'm usually the last step in somebody looking for a teacher.
I have to add that Jack teaches teachers.
Yeah, last week I was teaching at Vandercook University in Chicago for a week. It was a course for music teachers who wanted to get their masters and doctorates and learn how to teach people better. And I've done that for 3 years. It's a 1-week course. So I finally graduated to teaching teachers, which is exciting.
How cool is that, actually? If I were to ask you what's your favorite thing to teach, what is it?
I don't know. I just enjoy teaching. I love doing that. I I love standing in front of a class and teaching something like you brought up the Rolling Stones. I'm a Rolling Stones fan and have been since they appeared. And I know a lot about the Rolling Stones, and to have a job standing in front of a class playing Rolling Stones music and talking about them is very exciting. It's like working for free money.
Well put. But I understand what you mean. I've taught before too. It's such an enriching experience. Looking into people's eyes and knowing that they're getting something from you is huge. Absolutely huge.
And now when I look at all the people I've taught in the past, it's a legion of fine guitarists and fine teachers, and it feels really good to have had something to do with teaching all these people that are out there doing wonderful things. And I had a little part of it.
Of course, certainly. Now, before I move on to the next thing, I have a question relative to that, because I asked your wife earlier in the interview what Jack has taught her. So I will do a dual role, turn it around and say to you, music god, what has Jill Jensen taught you musically?
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Me too.
Well, I've played with a lot of great singers like Pavarotti or Nancy Wilson or John Gary or Rosemary Clooney, Tom Jones. But I was not in love with those people. I am in love with Jill. And at first, I didn't think it would make a difference because I always try to play as well as I can play. But when I play with Jill, there's a little extra thing about it. I might look at her, and all of a sudden I get these love feelings while I'm playing with her. And I'm always glued to her music, trying to make her sound as good as she can possibly sound. Not that I didn't with other people, but it's different when I'm in love with this person. And the gig starts when we wake up in the morning, and we're together before we go play music. I wasn't together with Rosemary Clooney or Tom Jones before we did a concert.
Of course.
But I'm with Jill all the time. And I eat lunch with her, and we get in the car, and we drive to the gig, and we get dressed together, and after we play the gig, we come home and we're lying in bed together. You know, I didn't sleep with anybody else I worked with before, and so that puts a different slant on the music.
I've heard that mentioned. People will say it's fun to watch us because they see this interaction, and a critic has said that there's a telepathic interplay that comes from seeing and experiencing the music that comes from two people who are in love and who make this music together 24/7 and who have been doing this for almost 20 years and so forth and so on. So we even hear it from other people that it's palpable.
Well, that's another thing. We've been together 17 years now, and I hear Jill sing all day in the house. and I don't think I've played with anybody that long.
Oh my goodness!
Like when I played with Pavarotti, I was called that day, and I went and played a concert with him, and then he went to his house, and I went to my house, and then it was over. But with Jill, I've been making music with her for 17 years. I've been listening to her voice for 17 years. I know exactly what to play to set her voice on a pedestal to make it just appear golden. It does anyway, but that's what I do. I hear her all the time.
He's my orchestra.
Aww. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. We're moving off of this, or I'm going to start crying in about 3 seconds.
Well, I've talked to other couples who are married or in love that make music together, and they say the same things. So it's a rare thing, and the music is really extra special when it's made by two people that are in love. It's a better music. There's something about it. It's coated with love that is not there if the people are not in love.
Right.
People that are not in love make great music too, but
sure.
It's different when the people love each other. Okay, I'm done with that.
I would agree with that. Oh my goodness gracious! It's funny you should say that, actually, because I have a fondness to a local musician, and I noticed the difference between he's sung to me at his house before, and then going out to a gig and singing, and it's different. It's nowhere near to your degree, but I completely understand what you're saying. It's just very interesting how human emotion and human desire and human intimacy between two people can almost make music more magical, more meaningful, and more passionate. Period. And I think both people will perform better and appreciate it better as a whole. So I would agree with that.
And the people in the audience will respond to that. For example, if you see somebody play on television, if you stay home and watch a video on television or a concert on television, the people on the concert are not seeing you, so they're not playing directly to you. So when I play in public, I see the audience, and I'm playing directly to them, and I can sense if they like or dislike something I'm doing, and I change what I do to make them happy, you know.
I love that part of it. I love that exchange, and I love feeling the love that comes from an audience, you know, because if they don't like it, they go away. But the ones that are there, you know, are certainly enjoying it. So that's just divine. That's creation, you know. So we're creating. It's part of being a creator. It's nurturing. It's loving. It's giving someone something. And there's nothing more delightful than the sharing of this love of what you do.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you 100%. That's the one downside to doing internet radio is, unfortunately, I only get feedback after I've done it. I mean, I know people are listening, but you don't really get to find out. There isn't that applause or the whole, Cindy, you really rock that show. So I always wait for the people at the show. Well, that'll be
huzzah. We have to figure out a way to have that happen. Yeah.
I do, actually. I would like to. Well, I've started to do live interviews. I went to New York and I did red carpet interviews. So now I'm getting into the live thing in front of camera, and that's very, very. I mean, you get that instant applause and gratification, but it's much more nerve-wracking. It's very scary. It's very, very scary.
Oh yeah, I've narrated parades and did odds and ends of things like that. But boy, that's pressure. You know, when it's instant right there. It is.
Oh, you betcha, without a doubt. But since Jack brought this up, we'll go on this point here, because as you had mentioned, you have accompanied some of the greatest that there are, meaning, as you mentioned, Nancy Wilson, Rosemary Clooney, Bob Newhart, Bob Hope, Jay Leno, Pavarotti. Now, Pavarotti I want to go back to, because I'm here to tell you, I just recently finished an interview with Andre Bocelli. And one of my personal favorites besides Bocelli is, of course, Pavarotti. So it behooves me to ask you the question, which is, so what's it like to be near such greatness? Not that you're not Jack Grassel, because you are, but, I mean, he is Pavarotti and all, and I thought, I got to ask. Okay, tell me something about the guy.
Well, one of my teachers told me, always be over-prepared for what you're going to do. Now, I was called to play with Pavarotti because of the things I do. However, when I got there, Pavarotti decided he wanted to do duets with a guitar player at his concert, so it was just me and Pavarotti. However, the things he chose were old Italian folk songs that required maybe 3 simple chords on the guitar that I would use.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was way over prepared for this. So it was real easy for me. So I was right next to Pavarotti, and I got to hear his voice come out of his mouth, not through microphones or speakers, because I did a rehearsal with him. So that was amazing, because his voice sounded different coming right out of his mouth than through microphones and speakers or recordings. Sure. And so I was really glued to him. I didn't have to worry about technique, because these were simple songs and simple chords. So I could just be glued to Pavarotti and play every chord at just the right volume, insert it in just the right place in the music, and if he would slow down or speed up, I'd be right on him and speed up and slow down with him and play every note at the perfect dynamic, and he was happy with that. And it was really exciting. I had a good time doing it, and I was playing an unamplified classical guitar right next to him, and I was mic'd, and we were playing at the Bradley Center, and there were, I think, 12,000 people there. And it was real quiet, and here I am with this little acoustic guitar with Pavarotti at the edge of the stage playing. It was an exciting moment.
I imagine it was. That has to be awesome. Oh, my goodness.
And I'm glad I answered the phone that day, because when the phone rang, I almost didn't answer the phone, but I'm glad I did.
My goodness. Oh, my gosh. Well, let me just tell you, folks, and I'll let you rest for 30 seconds, Jack, and let me just speak of this, just to let you guys know that not only can he talk the talk, but he also does the walk. And let me tell you how it is that we all know that he's majorly accomplished, not just by his simple playing, as I would call it, and I don't minimize you whatsoever. One of the nicest parts about, for me, watching Jack Grassel is that he is not, he's not a prima donna, for lack of a better term. You're very, very refined. You're very professional, and most people that would meet you from Adam would have no idea that you have this iconic career that you do. And that's what I think is one of the most magical things about you. But let me just tell you, folks, he has been highly, highly rewarded for his work. Multiple Whammy winner, Wisconsin State Music Festival winner, MOCA Award for Jazz and Pop Duo, Shepherd Express Best of Milwaukee for Jazz Artist, and, of course, picked by Guitar One magazine as one of the best guitarists. He's done 70 compositions. One of the things that I wanted to touch on before we get to the both of you is you have inventions, do you not?
Well, yeah, 3 years ago, I figured out that playing one instrument at a time wasn't the way to express myself, since I know how to play a lot of instruments. So I bought a mandolin and a bass and a guitar, and I cut part of them off, and I glued them together, so I'm playing a triple neck instrument now.
Oh, my gosh.
So
is that challenging? I mean, that sounds hard just listening to it. Like, oh, my God, that has to be so difficult.
Well, it took about
that.
a year. Yeah, it took about a year before I could play it in public without making a lot of mistakes.
Oh, okay.
But there's a video on my website. You can see me do that.
Okay. That's something that I'd like to take a look at, actually, because I'm curious. Okay.
Yeah, it's jackgrassel.com.
Yes. Now we're going to unify the both of you. Let me just start off before I ask the both of you this question, just to let everybody know who's listening in. Jack and Jill have been partnered up since 1999. They've done approximately 1,000 gigs together. Their very first gig was done at the same club where they met. But I want to read this because this pretty much to me exemplifies everything that I know to be true about the two of them as a couple. These words were once said. Hopefully they will not mind that I'm repeating them because they're just so touching that I couldn't help myself. And they exemplify the two of them together very well, which is this. Grow with me, change with me, explore with me, bond with me, make music with me. True love is such fun. The Jack and Jill show's just begun. This happens to be part of the wedding vows that they've done together, and it exemplifies everything that you see on stage so very nicely. So I want to ask the very both of you, and you can both chime in on this, or one of you can answer it. Talk to us a little bit about how you met one another and how you ended up becoming Mr. and Mrs. Jack and Jill together. Tell us the love story part of it.
Oh, my goodness. It took place over almost a decade. I was dating one of Jack's students, and a full-grown man, by the way. And anyway, and the student said, okay, my teacher is going to be playing at a club in Racine, which is where I lived and still do. But he said, I think you really need to hear him. He's such a superb musician and everything. And I thought, oh, wow, that would be great. So went to the yardarm, and I was introduced to him. We had a brief conversation. I thought, he really is. He's such a nice man. And in the meantime, Jack's marriage was struggling. And so we had a brief, nice, polite talk. So then, like almost 10 years go by, and Jack is seeing me on television when I was doing all the commercials and other things. He really didn't remember my name, but he knew that he thought, boy, that's a nice woman. I hope if I ever get the chance and I could meet someone like that. And so sure enough, I'm with a different date and my daughter and her husband, and I go into the same place. I said, we've got to go hear this guy. He won't remember me, but he's such a great musician, and I could never hold a candle to what he does. But so we went back to the yard arm, same table, same club. And I walk in, and I'm there with my date and my daughter and her husband, and Jack sees me, and he puts down his guitar, came over to the table, and said, "Hello, Jill. I'm Jack. Let's go climb a hill." And I said, "You remembered me?" So I stood up and I gave him a little hug, and I said, "How are you?" And I said, "I can't believe you remember me." He said, "Sure." And then he said, "I'm divorced," and so then from there, we had a brief conversation, but we both remember that the lights in the room got brighter and we couldn't hear or see anybody else, and it was quite a magic moment. Then it was just brief, and he went over and we talked to some other friends, and I went back to the table. My daughter said, "Would you go to the bathroom with me?" I said, "Sure." Walked into the ladies' room. She said, "What was that?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Oh, my gosh." She said, like in front of everybody could see that. What was going on? I said, "Honey, it's just two grown-ups just saying hello. He is so going to call you. What are you going to do?" And he called. Okay, Jack, take over.
So Jack called.
Well, I had been aware of Jill doing those Pontiac commercials for many years, and I didn't know her name, but I would watch television and turn the television on when those Pontiac commercials came on, and I would I wouldn't watch the shows, but I'd wait till the commercials came on, and I'd watch the commercials, and eventually I knew exactly when the Pontiac commercials would come on that she was on, and I started watching commercials.
When I went on a theater, I went with a theater troupe to Tbilisi, Georgia. And when I went to that country to do this musical play that I was in, we knew that they were hungry, starved, just to get American jazz. And I wanted to take good stuff. So I brought Jack Grassel cassettes, with me to give to the people of the first Soviet state to secede from the Union of the Soviet Union. And I took them to Georgia over there to do that play and give out gifts. So I didn't even know him, but here I was admiring his music, admiring the man, and it's just so interesting. When we got together, we had been dating, and then Jack was teaching at an international guitar workshop out in Connecticut. And we thought, wow, a perfect way to test this relationship is a long car ride. So I went with him out there. If you can survive that, we'll see what happens. So it was a long car ride all the way out to Connecticut and back, and then a week stay at this old school with a dormitory and everything. And so it was challenging, and it was hot, and it was fun, and we had a great time. But one of the things that I had to do to occupy my time was I did take a class in jazz vocals, and I had to give a recital. So at the end of the recital, with all of the students and the bands and everything, I asked Jack to accompany me, and a little girl. He crafted a reggae version of "Killing Me Softly," and I had to do that. And then Jack and I put together "Moonlight in Vermont," just the two of us. And then the goosebumps came up, and the hair on the back of the neck and everything, and it was just the first time that he and I had done anything together. And he said, "We could do this. We could do this."
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
If you talk to a lot of musicians, professional musicians, oftentimes you will hear things that the spouse is not crazy about her husband or wife going out and playing concerts or gigs, and the marriage has a strain. And one thing about this relationship, and now that I'm married to a musician, it solves that problem. And when I talk to other musicians that are married to musicians, they say the same thing, that it solves a lot of problems versus being a single, being the only musician in the household,
Oh, sure, of course. Oh, definitely. And I know that there's something to be said about, and I believe this to be true, that whole chemistry on stage, even if it's not a man and a woman. I've noticed where there have been two men that have been together or two or three performers that are together, and if you do not have that personal chemistry, I think that you're lacking somehow and how your music comes across and how you're received. Would you concur with that? Or I would ascertain. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you. The thing is, if I'm there on a concert stage with somebody I love, and if the concert, for example, is not accepted well, or if something bad happens, or something happens on the way to or from the gig, it really doesn't matter to me because I'm with the person I love. If I go play a gig somewhere and it's not going well, and if I go by myself, Jill is not with me to experience this or to support me or to make things better. And if we are together, if the car breaks down or if I get a flat tire or something and we are together, it's not as bad as if I'm by myself and the car breaks down.
Oh, of course. No, I agree with you 100%. That's what I mean by that. I mean, I think that chemistry is, very important and very detrimental. It can be very detrimental if you don't have the right chemistry. And then obviously shows on stage with the both of you, and especially when those vows that I wrote are just absolutely beautiful. One of the things I want to ask you, of course, because, of course, obviously you're both parents and grandparents, etc. So talk to us a little bit about the fact that because obviously you're regular working musicians still, even though you're a bit older, you are out and about and you're playing on a regular basis. How challenging does it become to balance the family and balance the music and the teaching and everything that comes along with it? How do you balance that in proper proportion?
Gee, I don't think there's a problem at all. The thing that's the priority in my life, I have two priorities: my wife and my music, and everything else is secondary.
Sure.
Our children are young adults, and they have their own lives. So right now, everything is going along quite swimmingly. Let me put it that way. I think our job is to do what we do. So we're together. Our job is tending to all sorts of things during the course of a day.
Right.
We schedule time for our families. We certainly love seeing them, being with them. We make sure that we do. I don't think it's any different than anybody else. While it sounds like we're 52,000 times busier, this is our day job. So it's just like anybody else with any other job. You budget your time. You make sure that you have balance. We'll say, well, gee, we miss so and so. Let's go see them. Let's schedule a time. Let's let this happen. Let's have so and so over. You know what you need. Grown-ups know what they need, and they find a way to put that component into their lives whenever it's needed, whenever it works out.
I think that the product that we produce, this music, is the product of two people working towards the same goal rather than one person working towards this goal. When I was by myself, I was the only guy in the family working on the music, and I made a lot of mistakes. When Jill and I work on it together, we have two people working on one career rather than one person working on one career. So we get a lot more done, and we turn out a better product than if we were working on this individually.
Certainly. I understand. And now, do your children share your same passion for music? Either
not at all.
Or all of yours? Oh.
Not at all.
Wow,
My one
that
son
was blunt.
One son is a parts manager at a Ford dealer, and the other guy works at a storage facility. And Jill's daughter works in home heating and air conditioning. So they are not in music. It takes a special kind of person to do this as a job,
Sure.
As a full-time job. It's a commitment.
Now,
go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just thinking to myself that one of the benefits of having two individuals who have had a long-standing career in the music industry is to ask you this, because I'm sure that you stay in tune with some of those vessels, like I think even Jill had been prefacing it a bit earlier in the interview. We live in a day and age now where you have America's Got Talent, you've got The Voice, you've got all sorts of other, American Idols, if you will. So tell me something. Do you think that is more of a detriment, or do you think it's more of a prop up in terms of, back in the day, I can remember when musicians were first starting out, you work for every little thing you get. You work for every little gig. There was no prop up. There was no going on The Voice and then all of a sudden getting a contract, etc. So how do you feel that impacts up-and-coming musicians today?
Wow. I think when I was teaching at MATC, young people would come in and think that all they had to do to get a career in music was to sing a song or make a CD, and all of a sudden they would be a star. I think that a show like that creates an unrealistic view of what perhaps this is. I am a product. I make a product. Jill is a product. We're a product that is marketed, and people pay us to do what we do and give us money to do what we do because we make the venue money. The venue we work at is there, and they hire musicians so that they can make money. So if we make the venue money, then we make money. We make money because we make the audience happy. So there are three people involved in this product. It's the audience, the venue, and the artist. And while those shows are fun to watch, I think they're missing that part as what is a career really, And when I was teaching, there'd be people coming in thinking that they could be stars by doing something that's already been done already. Especially the rap artists. They think that if they can get a drum machine and start rapping, they will become a star. It doesn't work like that. Or
of course
somebody will come in and say, well, I'm going to do this song by Lady Gaga. I hope I'm discovered. Well, the record company already has Lady Gaga. Why do they need somebody that does an imitation of Lady Gaga? They want somebody that's original.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Cindy. I understand that, and I agree with Jack. And while those programs and those concepts are keeping the joy and the love of music alive, there is still the work. There is still it's not easy. There are so many talented people, and there's so few venues. There are so many schools that are churning out quality musicians who may not be able to get work. It's a very, very difficult profession, and it's daunting, and you can have extreme moments of joy and success, and then the next minute you won't. It's mercurial. It's ever changing. You have to have a lot that you have to do to stay current. It's work. It is work, and even those who may have that moment of success, just may not. This isn't something that might not stick around for a long time. The very good people that we have sought to take lessons from or seek counsel from, we'll look up and even when Jack was teaching in Hollywood at Musicians Institute, he would talk to all these great LA musicians, and we recorded our CD out there, and so we're talking to all these guys and saying, "Hey, where can we go see you perform tonight? We've got some time." And they say, "Well, we're not working anywhere." And you look at their web page calendar, and maybe there's 3 gigs a month. It doesn't always work that you're constantly busy and making enough money. So it's tough. It's tough. It's different for everyone. I wish I could say that there was a standard. There's not. There's levels of it all over the place, and it comes and it goes. And your body is your instrument. And so you're literally at the mercy of how much your body is going to be able to produce, your hands, your arms, your mouth, your stomach, your back, all of the things that are involved in creating these sounds and doing these things. Like a football player, they have a shelf life. Musicians sometimes may have a shelf life. It just simply won't always be there.
But Les Paul worked till he was 94.
Yeah, with crippled fingers.
You know what?
He found a way.
Right. And it's funny you mentioned that. That leads right into my next question, because you two have been in this industry long enough, and you're very realistic in terms of your careers and what you do. for both of you, not only vocally but playing instruments, is there an age or at a point in which where you're almost forced to kind of say, you know what, we're just not, the quality is not the same anymore. Not that you're not trying as hard, but physical limitation warrants that perhaps it's time to quit.
I haven't experienced that yet. I'm 67, and I play better today than I did at any other point in my life, and I went on a 40-mile bike ride the other day. So I don't think that's a problem. You know, I haven't experienced it yet. I know Les Paul, when he was 94, was getting stiff, but he found a way to play. And I think Les Paul was playing his greatest when he was 94, even though his technique was gone. He was very, very musical, and the notes had a lot of meaning. Sure. Yes, I mean, with vocalists, I mean, we can all think of some vocalists where we say their voice is gone. But then there are other vocalists that sing well into old age. It all depends on how you take care of yourself.
Sure,
and if, when you do perform, if you perform in a way that's hurting your body, and I mean, that's why I studied with great teachers. I learned how to hold the guitar so I don't hurt myself.
That's considered training, not unlike any athlete, you know, what to do correctly so that you don't harm.
Sure.
And who was it? Was it Pablo Casals? And they said, why do you still practice? Why? And he said, because I think I'm starting to get good.
And he said that when he was 92.
Right.
Oh, my God. Look at that.
So that's the way I think musicians feel. You know, you're always you're always out to do this. And I know I've said this to you before in our delightful conversations that always seem to end too briefly. That I've said things to you like, oh shoot, I just derailed.
Besides
my goodness,
that, I'm so pretty, and thank you for coming to the gig, et cetera, and you're such a lovely light, and don't give up hope, and hugs, dear. That's our usual conversation, but I know what you mean.
I know
what you're
it's
with.
Well,
that's
you know,
all right. You can think about
we've all...
Oh, I know what I was thinking about, too. I'm going to quick say it before it goes away again.
Yes,
there are so many people who are so good who are not famous, and not everybody is after the great big giant famous. They might be after comfortable. Now, there's famous people who might not be that talented or musical, but maybe they're making a lot of money. Or there are people who started out with a goal for their music and their compositions and what they were doing, but then it got taken away. So maybe they got extremely successful and they can no longer change what they're doing. A long time ago, Ricky Nelson made a career doing the songs that he originally did. He evolved. He reinvented himself, and he was doing other types of music, and he was very, very good. So he went and he played a gig, not playing the songs that everybody wanted to hear. He went and played the gig doing what he wanted to do, what he had written, his new material, and he was booed. And he wrote a song about it, and it was called "I Went to a Garden Party." And it talks about how he could no longer be himself within the tentacles of being a success. That he was now a product that was expected to do certain things, had to be the little monkey up on a chair playing the cymbals so that everybody could enjoy it. He couldn't branch out and be this artistic thing. So as far as and Jack has something major to add about that, but you can sometimes you can be very happy and not necessarily famous because you're doing exactly what you want to do with your music and the balance that you talked about with family and life.
If you do what you want to do with music, it's a more powerful music. For example, Van Halen, they started playing Panama in 1978. Well, it's 38 years later, and they still have to play that. And they've been playing that for 38. Oh, yeah, Jill just said, what about the Stones playing Satisfaction?
Lordy.
I mean, they've been playing Satisfaction for 50 years. I don't have to do that. You know, I can play exactly what I want to play, and I'm not playing what I was playing 50 years ago. I'm playing music I'm excited about. I keep playing different and new music. Whereas those acts, they're locked into playing those songs. Or Dave Brubeck, for example, had to play Take 5 for 50 years.
Neil Diamond. The list is endless. They expect the old hits from 50 years ago.
Or Stevie Wonder played Sunshine of My, or You Are the Sunshine of My Life, or Love, or whatever it is. He played that at Summerfest the other night. Yeah. And that came out in 1972.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes,
so
I agree. Well, that's what I thought.
In my case, I feel that the music is more important than anything else, other than my relationship with my wife. So the music is important. If I cared about money and fame, then I'd be playing some hit record somewhere in L.A. and being on the road. But my playing and my music is more important than that.
Gotcha. I would agree. And again, evidence, and let me just tell you folks, I'll give you guys a break for a second and let our audience know. Since they have partnered and paired with one another, obviously they've done various different gigs. They've been written about. Actually, I've read information on you, and just so you folks know, if you want to read about them, they've been in the Kenosha News. They've been in onmilwaukee.com. They've been in the Shepherd Express before, obviously. Because you've played in 8,000 places, I can't list everyone, so I've just pinpointed a bunch of different things. Farmers Market, Piggly Wiggly, of course, the Twisted Cork, the Packing House, 88 Keys, the Uptowner, the Speakeasy Martini Lounge. One of the things I find interesting about Jack and Jill is that they also play Mexico in the wintertime. Now, who wouldn't want to leave this godforsaken state to go out of the country to go play there, as far as that goes? So there's 3 questions I have relative to the gigs that you all have played together. First of all, I know for a fact that Jack and Jill played a wedding at Mequon Park on the 4th of July. So here's the question. How was the wedding? But moreover, because you are a lovey-dovey, perfect couple, do you get asked to do weddings often?
Oh, not often, but occasionally we do. So many people want to play recorded music at their weddings, and it usually results in music being too loud by the DJ, and then all the older people leave. So there isn't that much work for us doing weddings, but we have a bunch of them this year.
Yeah, there's something for everyone, and the couples that hire us are certainly familiar with our music and maybe have a personal connection. They may, in particular, this couple used to come to a Sunday brunch that we did for a jazz brunch for 3.5 years when they were first dating and throughout their courtship, and to them, and they liked the music. It's important. It was important that our music be a part of their wedding, and we did the ceremony. They literally said, "Do anything you want." They said, "You pick. You pick something." So we had 30 minutes before the ceremony as welcome music, and then we had walk down the aisle music and candle lighting ceremony and exit music, and then, move to another part of the park and did cocktail and hors d'oeuvre fun, and some people got up and danced. And then later they had another band, and so we were able to sit there and enjoy the wedding. But, yeah, we love doing private parties. We love... There's nothing worse than being the wrong band at the wrong place. But for the most part, Jack and I are the right band at the right place. When the phone rings or an email comes and we are asked by people to perform at a venue in a place, we know that they want us. They know our music. They know their crowd. They know what they want. And those are the best, Cindy. Those are just the best when, they can't wait to have you there.
Of course, without a doubt.
So does that help you?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. The other 2 that I want to mention to folks that they may not know is, and you touched on this earlier, of course, obviously you performed at the Al White Benefit, who, of course, is a local musician who means a great deal to a great number of us, as well as, of course, performing at this year's Whammy Awards. Tell us a little bit about those performances, because obviously, of course, one's a fundraiser. The other one, of course, is the local Wisconsin musical organization. So how does that fare for you in terms of much different audience, obviously, and for much different purpose? So talk to us a little bit about those 2.
Well, we pretty much do what we do wherever we play, just like the Rolling Stones play whatever they play, whenever,
Of course.
We really don't change what we do too much depending where playing, but when we played the Al White benefit, we only played 2 songs, so we picked the ones that we thought were our best songs. And when we played the Whammy show, we only played an hour. So we picked 1 hour of our best material. When we play in a bar for 4 hours, we play a wider variety of music. But we have so many songs. We probably have 120 songs in the repertoire that we can pick the songs that go with the audience or the venue. If they're older people or younger people, we've got the songs that work.
Well, not unlike when we were in Los Angeles and we gave that concert, and they said, because it was the place was filled with musicians, all right, and they had said, we're going to record this, and we said, no, don't record it. My gosh, the place is full of musicians. We're nervous enough the way it is. We don't want to be recorded while we have to play in front of musicians, and so then the music becomes adventurous. And so it depends, maybe we will take chances in a loving environment of musicians. You know, we know that they're going to get it, all right? And we maybe will be a little bit more mainstream someplace because we don't want to scare people. But you know, so that might be the difference. But it was delightful being in both of those venues because of the huge crowd, you know, and because it's a concert feeling environment that you're getting this attention, and I don't feel like we're fighting to be heard or something. It was marvelous, and it was loving, and it was very giving. So that was great. We've got a concert coming up that we look forward to every year, and that's at the Italian Community Center. That's going to be in August on the 10th. It's a Monday night.
6:30 to 9:30.
And it's free. Yeah. People can just go, and the food is always good, and it's a patio, it's a courtyard, and sometimes people dance. If the weather's bad, it's in the ballroom. But that's one of those charming, summer, delightful, all mixed ages. People are there to have a good time, enjoy the fresh air and the music. Just a delightful thing to do. So when it's good, it's really, really good. That's one of those places that it'll be good. We do class reunions. This year we've got some class reunions, some weddings, some anniversaries. We've got all these wonderful private parties that it's sweet because, like I said, we're handpicked. We're the ones that they picked, Woohoo!
Oh, of course.
You can't beat that.
Exactly.
So
you betcha.
Yeah.
Now, before I play the music that Jill Jensen sent me, because, yes, you're actually going to get to listen to some music as far as I know, unless we have some audio trouble here. I just wanted to mention 4 of the CDs that come to mind, obviously, 3 of which Seems Like Dreams, Jack and Jill Jazz, of course, live at the Carlton Grange Pub. Jack 2015, Jack, what you just started talking about. Now, my question is for Jack 2015, that is not out yet, correct? Or it's about to be released? Or tell me a bit more about that.
It'll be out next month, and people can get copies on my webpage.
Okay.
Or at any of our gigs. We bring them with us. So they're always available for people to purchase on site.
Okay, I gotcha. I wasn't sure. Sometimes people do a CD release and such, because sometimes they will, because obviously it's an exciting time to be releasing new music. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, now, before I play this song, Jill Jensen, I have a request. Sing me a little something right off the cuff, just because, folks, you just have to listen to her for like a minute or two because you just have the most beautiful voice. I can't help it. And I know I'm supposed to gush all over Jack, which I am, but I can't help myself. I think Jill Jensen does not give herself enough credit. So this is your moment to sing without your husband.
Honey.
Just you.
And now the audience will get to hear her the way I get to hear her, is singing by herself without me playing with her.
Oh, my.
There you go.
Well, this is one of those songs that's almost a story song. And I can do it rubato, which means in my own tempo, in my own way, and it tells a little story, and I like it. This is When Sunny Gets Blue. Are you familiar with that one, Cindy?
I've heard it. I've heard it. Okay, but go for it. We'll see if I know it.
When Sunny gets blue, her eyes get gray and cloudy, then the rain begins to fall. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter, love is gone, so what can matter? No sweet loving man comes to call. When Sunny gets blue, she breathes a sigh of sadness, like the wind that stirs the trees. Wind that sets the leaves to swaying, like some violins are playing weird and haunting melodies. People used to love to hear her laugh, see her smile. That's how she got her name. Since that sad affair, she's lost her smile, changed her style. Somehow, she's not the same. But memories will fade, and pretty dreams will rise up where her other dreams fell through. Hurry, new love, hurry here to kiss away each lonely tear and hold her near when Sunny gets blue.
Wow.
Cute, isn't it?
See what I'm talking about? Oh, my God. You just, see, this is what I mean. I would be the worst musician in the whole wide world. I can't even hold a tune. And I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, she's amazing. This is just, oh, my gosh. You really, really stand next to your husband very well. Don't ever, 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 ever think that you are not 100% just as great as he is. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
Well, not that I don't love Jack, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes a girl needs to hear that, of course. So now, the song you sent me, tell the folks a little bit about Edith and the Kingpin so they know what to expect here.
Well, Edith and the Kingpin is on, I mentioned it. I mentioned it's on our eponymous album. That's Jack and Jill Jazz. Yeah. And that was the one that we said, don't record it in L.A. And we got done, and the fellow said, I did record it. Well, we had to fight a little bit to get it, but we got it.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness gracious.
It's on there. It's another kind of a story song. It was written by Joni Mitchell, and I heard it jazzed up on the album The River, which was homage to Joni Mitchell. It won the Grammy Award as Album of the Year in 2008. Now, for a jazz album to get, it was Herbie Hancock who produced this and did it, for an album to be Album of the Year, and it's a jazz album in 2008, tells you. But we heard a jazz version of the song, and that's what I said, I have to get a piece of that. I want to do it my way too. So we've been doing that song. It's well, you're going to play it, so I won't say anything about it.
You don't need to say anything else, and you can rest and we can listen to it.
It's just Jack and I, and so it was recorded live, and you'll hear some applause at the end. And I don't know if Jack's got a comment about it at all. No, he says no. Well,
then we're going to play it. All right, let's take a listen to Edith and the Kingpin.
The big man arrives. Disco dancers greet him. Plain clothes cops greet him. Small town, big man, fresh lipstick glistening. Sophomore jive from victims of typewriters. The band sound like typewriters. The big man, he's not listening. His eyes hold Edith his left hand holds his right. What does that hand desire that he grips it so tight? Edith in the ring, the past of a girls are conferring. The man with the diamond ring is purring. Our claws for now withdrawn. One by one they bring his renegade stories to her, his crimes and his glories to her. In challenge they look on. Women he has taken grow old too soon. They tilt their tired faces gently to the
shut that off before we keep talking here. Now, before we wrap everything up, oh my God, can you believe that this has been going on an hour and a half? This is wild, isn't it? It's like it starts and then all of a sudden, before you know it, we're 90 minutes down the pike here. So I apologize. I'm keeping you from anything.
I know.
But I don't feel bad.
No, it's not a problem for us. I hope it's okay.
I know,
with
right?
you.
I'm like, well, let's see here. When I get done with you, I have to list off 7 places I'm supposed to be tonight. One of the nicest parts about summertime is that all my friends are playing. I mean, it's like Marcel is playing, Chris Crow is playing. I'm going to mention off because the power of the radio is awesome because I get to tell everybody, all my friends are playing tonight. Jack and Jill aren't playing. But, folks, listen to this. Upcoming on the road, we got 2 things here. First of all, July 11th, this coming weekend, 8:30 to 11:30 at the Racine Farmers Market they're going to be at. I can personally test because I've been there and I've seen them. And if I'm in Milwaukee this weekend, I'm going to be there too because my birthday's next week. So I'm like starting to celebrate like a week or like 4 days ahead of time. So if I don't go to New York for my birthday, I'll be hanging with Jack and Jill and Racine, which is where you should be at the Farmers Market, 8:30 to 11:30. That's July 11th. And I actually wrote down the other gig at the Italian Community Center, which is August 10th from 6:30 to 9. I'm going to ramble off a bunch of these things, Jack and Jill. Let me finish everything, and then let me know if I've missed anything as far as contact. Facebook, you have two places. Of course, Jill has a Facebook page, which is Jill, and it's Jensen, which is Jensen. And, of course, their music page is Jack and Jill Jazz. The two websites, JillJensen.com and, of course, JackGrassel.com. And for those that don't know how to spell it, it's Grassel.com. Music is also available and information on the following: YouTube, of course, the Wikipedia profile, SonicBids.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BestBuy.com, CDBaby.com, and Amazon.com. Did I miss anything?
Well, actually, there's our website together. We have Jack and Jill Jazz.com.
Jazz.
Right,
how did
spelling
I not
out
write that down?
That's all right. Okay. That's all right. They all link. So we've got JackGrassel.com, JillJensen.com, and JackandJillJazz.com.
3 websites.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Yes.
Boy.
See, I knew I was missing something. This is why we go through all this, kids, because then what happens is that I tend to forget one thing or another because I'm not perfect, if you can believe that. The last thing that we do on my show is the most important, which is you get to be quiet, and I get the next probably 2 minutes, I'd say, to tell you both what I think of you. This is the way that I end every show. And the reason that I do this is not so much for my benefit or for yours, but more so because I want the audience that's listening to realize my impressions of you, professionally and personally, and hopefully this will intrigue them enough to get to know who you are, because I'm lucky enough to have an audience everywhere. Well, yes, and I've never really gotten to tell you what I think of you, so now here it is. So I hope you're both sitting down. To Jack and to Jill, these are my impressions of the two of you in the rather short period of time that I've known you. So folks, listen in very carefully to what I think of both of them. Uniquely and individually, prior to the two of them meeting one another, all I can say is that it was a powerhouse of talent that collided very lovingly, I might add, and formed the Jack and Jill combination. I have to say that both of you are very impressive in your own right. You seem to have found a passion for music and for yourselves very early on. The fact that you now have a combined desire and a dream that you wish to share with one another and to the world is very inspiring and motivating to me. On one side of the fence, we have Jack, and I'm not going to lie to you. The very first time I met him, I thought, oh, my God, this man scares the hell out of me. He's very serious. He looks very staunch. He's very professional. And I thought, oh, my God, I'm petrified of this person. And then he took my hand for the first time, and I thought to myself, oh, there must be a reason why she loves him so much. It's because he's so dapper and he's so debonair, and he's just so lovely. The minute he opens his mouth, and whether he sings or whether he plays or he performs, he is just an outstanding individual who has so much to bestow upon his listening audience, to his students, to his wife, and to his family, and to all of us if we listen very carefully. On the flip side of the fence, Jill Jensen has to be, although most of you don't know the benefit of this, probably hands down one of the biggest inspirations and motivators to me. She always has a positive and a kind word. She has survived so much more than most people would ever know, and she does it with a smile and a wink in her eye, not dissimilar to Liza Minnelli, which is what I referenced to you before. You are my inspiration because you make me feel warm when I'm in your presence, because your voice makes me feel inspired, motivated. It makes me want to be a better person, and it makes me want to have a better attitude and become a better, passionate writer. And for that, I'm so very lucky. I'm so blessed and so fortunate that you've not only graced my studio, but that you've brought your voice to audiences all over the place, not only here, but across the world. I pray that for the next 20 years, we have the benefit of listening to both of you and being blessed by the gifts that you give us. And last of all, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my show. And God, how I hope you'll contribute music to one of my film productions if they ever get done. That's it.
Oh. Oh, my, that's so hard to listen to. You're so kind. Thank you, dear heart. You are such a dear
I'm so
heart.
honored.
Oh, my.
Well,
and we can't thank you enough for having us on here to just natter on like this. So.
Oh, of course. I mean, obviously, I love promoting live and local music, and certainly any time that I can be of any help to you whatsoever, I certainly will be. And I would love it if you'd come back on, in the next year or so, or any time that you feel that you want something promoted, certainly pass it along my way, and I will certainly make it a point to make it a priority.
Well, that's wonderful. You're so good. We appreciate you. You're appreciated.
Thank you so much. And just to let you guys know before I let you go.
You did a good job. You asked wonderful questions.
Thank you. Well, they tell me that I'm good at it, but it's all about the writing. I'm not really a radio person. I'm a writer. Anything that allows me to write just lets my heart flow, and then I don't have to think about all those sad things in my life that are going on. And thank you for all your prayers, by the way. They're very, very, very much appreciated. Oh, and the one quick thing I did want you to add, because I know you and I have a shared passion in this. So, Jill, I'll give you your 60 seconds here. Tell the folks why they should be. Tell the folks why, because both of us have a shared interest, of course, in NAMI, N-A-M-I. Is there anything that you want to say? Any reason why you think people should participate or support or encourage the efforts of NAMI? Go for it. Feel free to say what you like.
You're talking about the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. Number one, I think we all have a certain amount of mental illness in our little cocktail that is our psyche, and some poor people struggle with a little bit more than we do. But we have so many. We are surrounded by loved ones in peril, and most of the people that you see on the streets are the emotionally wounded, whether it's because they're veterans or for whatever reason. And by being a part of NAMI and remembering to use it, here's the thing. If you know someone that you know is struggling, if you are struggling, I have always depended upon United Way and their agencies. I have always depended upon wonderful organizations like the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill that I can say, I need meat and potatoes. I need the help. I need someone to put the words into my mouth and give me the tools and the materials to be able to help someone that I care about. We have people in our close friendship range who struggle with bipolar situations or who have had brain injuries and alcohol and addictions. Addictions are rampant in this world, and that is a mental illness. This is not a decision. This is something that is hardwired into a lot of people, and they need help, and we need help to understand it. I think if more people became aware of what the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill did, the free services it provides, you can get books, you can get pamphlets and movies and instant help. They have hotlines. They have people that you can call, that you can say, I need to help someone I love. This is what is going on. Tell me what to do, and they will be there for you. We took classes called Family to Family. I highly recommend that. It discusses all the different range of things that can happen in your neighborhood and in your community and how you can be helped. It's just an invaluable resource, and I encourage everyone to not only donate but use the services because we need them so desperately. So yes, thank you for that opportunity, Cindy.
Of course, certainly, anytime whatsoever. And I want to remind you, of course, once you hang up with me, give me about 30 minutes or so. This episode will become archived. So basically what you do is go on Facebook. You can repost. People can listen to it anytime that they would like. And I think we've done a wonderful job. Like I said, I cannot thank you enough for all the time that you've given me. I truly, truly, truly appreciate that. I'm sorry if I've held you up. And I will certainly sing your praises once you get off the line. And I hope, with any luck at all, I'll still be in Milwaukee. If not, I'll be having a good time in New York City, and then I'll make it a point to come in August to see you at the Italian Community Center.
Well, you go have a good, safe time, and you have a happy birthday, and thank you for all the time you've given us.
Of course. Anytime, my dear, dear friends. You guys take care, and I hope to be talking to you soon.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my God, I'm singing already.
You.
Oh, my God.
Happy birthday, dear Cindy. Happy birthday to you.
Aw, no, that was wonderful. Thank you.
It's early, but it's there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I will keep that in my heart. Now, you guys go enjoy yourselves. Have a wonderful romantic evening.
Okay, goodbye, Cindy.
All right, dear. Take care. Sure.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Are they incredible or what? Once again, Jill Jensen and Jack Grassel. Let's go through it one more time, all the ways to find them. Facebook page for Jill Jensen is Jill, and again, it's Jensen. And, of course, Jack Jill Jazz is also on Facebook. The 3 websites, as Jill corrected me, thank you, Jill. Jill Jensen, and that's JENSEN.com. Jack Grassel, spelled GRASSEL.com. And, of course, jackandjilljazz.com. Music and products can also be found on YouTube, sonicbids.com, Barnes & Noble, bestbuy.com, CD Baby, and Amazon.com. And don't forget, of course, Jack has got his illustrious profile on Wikipedia. Once again, thank you so much to Jill and Jack for all the time that they bestowed upon us today. I want to remind everyone one more time, July 11th, we're seeing Farmers Market from 8:30 to 11:30, and August 10th at the Italian Community Center from 6:30 to 9 p.m. A couple different matters I wish to address before I let you guys off the hook, and I get to start my evening as well. First of all, I want to talk about the remainder of the shows this week because I had started to discuss that. So let's just prime you up for tomorrow as it relates to our shows. As I mentioned, I start at 11 a.m. and go all the way up until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. 11 a.m. we have Tricia Montgomery of the K9 Fit Club, and that goes from 11 to noon. Then at noon I am hosting Janine Berger of the Twigo Tags Corporation. And then, of course, from 1 to 2, we have Jonathan, who represents, of course, Paw Parks, New York City. And as I started to discuss at the beginning of this episode, which is, of course, on Friday, we have 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, Rich Graff. And outside of all the illustrious things he's done in television and film, his most recent role, of course, is the highly recognized AMC show, which is The Making of the Mob. He, of course, has the esteemed role of Lucky Luciano. So I'm very excited to be hosting him. That's 5 o'clock Friday, Central Standard Time. Do not want to forget to mention to everybody, I will be posting up probably tomorrow the actual dial-in numbers. So if anyone who is listening in or wants to listen in, call in to speak to Richard, ask him a question, talk about the show, et cetera, I'll list the numbers so that this way you can do a call-in sequence and ask him your questions as far as that goes. I want to remind everybody about a couple of upcoming events that are going on so that everyone is aware. First of all, tonight, and this is local talent, you might catch me at least 2 of these if I was a smart girl and if I drive fast enough. Tracy Hanneman, of course, with the Eddie Butts Band, along with Kostia, are both playing at the Packing House this evening on the south side of town from 6 to 10. Chris Crow, the amazing Chris Crow, along with Joe Haidt, if I'm not mistaken, will be at Milwaukee Harley-Davidson this evening for Bike Night, and that's from 6 to 9:30. One of my favorite bands, Stereotype, including Kurt Rakowski, along with Jim Schultz, is starting at 6 o'clock. And if I'm not mistaken, it might go 6 to 9, if I'm not mistaken. And that's part of the Pewaukee Beach Band, or I should say Water Series. And that's going on this evening. 6:30 to 9 is Marcel's Matrix, and that's located at Washington Park this evening. 7 o'clock, we, of course, Josh Becker, most infamous, try that again. 7 o'clock. Josh Becker. Most of you might recognize him from Cherry Pie. He does his open mic night this evening, and that's located at the Sheer Lounge in Germantown. It is almost 6 o'clock, so I'll throw a shout-out for this, but I'm not quite sure if you were able to catch him or not. But Eric Von Clausen, otherwise known as E-Rock, is playing at Enders Park today, as a matter of fact. He is in the beer garden, as he traditionally does on occasion, and that's from 4 to 7 this evening. I also believe he has a Saturday performance with the Florentine Opera and will be playing a gig thereafter. You can check his website for that information, which is www.ericdeanmusic.com. Now, on the non-local side of things, there's a couple things I wanted to promote. July 13th, which is this coming Monday, hopefully I might be able to make this if I'm in New York City, and this is, of course, orchestrated by Steve Stanilis, one of the creators of the movie The Networker, along with John Gallagher. The Cutting Room is presenting an all-star male review, and this is for the benefit of the Silver Shield Foundation. Steve Stanilis is one of the big organizers for this. This is located at the Cutting Room, which is, of course, in New York City, 4040 32nd Street in New York City. From what I can tell, it looks like advance tickets are still available for $35. The day of the show, it'll be $40. There's also a $20 food and drink minimum there as far as that goes, but they have a bunch of different talent that's coming, some celebrity guest appearances that are happening. And, of course, we on the show here are huge supporters of Steve Stanilis and John Gallagher, so certainly anybody that can come and attend. Certainly, if I'm in New York City, not only will I be attending, but I will most likely be doing some form of a live interview there as far as that goes. So please make it a point to get there and to support their worthy organization. Like I said, the Silver Shield Fund is something that he has been a part of for a while now, and so certainly we want to incorporate anything that he does as well. Second of all, I wanted to talk about the Long Island Film Festival, actually. A couple of my friends are actually having some of their films this weekend, and so, of course, I wanted to mention that as well. John Ponce has a short film, and I've been invited to come to the Long Island Film Festival. Now, obviously, of course, this is more relative to the individuals that are in New York City, but certainly if you're in the area, New Jersey, relatively close, even though you may not necessarily know who my friends are, know this much. Know that they are all part of the independent film circuit, and as we all know, I am a huge and staunch supporter of independent films as a whole. So if you can make a point to attend, feel free to do so. If not, completely understandable. But at least the invitation is out there. So we figured, well, let's just get the word out and see how that goes. So Long Island Film Festival this weekend. One of the largest things that I'm hoping and praying that I'll be able to attend, again, another New York event. It's called Very Good Years, The Intimate Sinatra. My very dear friends, both Victor Robidoux and Richard Molivet. There's going to be a performance at the Metropolitan Room. That's 34 West 22nd Street in New York City. July 10th at 6:15 and July 11th as well. Tickets are available there. Richard will be debuting an all-new show. It's obviously all Sinatra. Show starts at 7 o'clock, July 11th and July 24th both. He also has a quartet that's being led by the multi-Grammy-nominated John DiMartino. And, of course, includes two-time Grammy Award winner Boris Kozlov, as well as special performances on both guitar and drums. It's a very, very, very intense look, an intimate look as well, into the musical career of Frank Sinatra. One of my highlights, one of my absolute favorite performers of all time is Frank Sinatra. So certainly, if you can support his efforts, I would encourage everyone to do so, please. And certainly if I'm in, obviously, New York City, I will make it a point to do so. Last but not least, just wanted to say once again, and you're probably sick of hearing it, but I never believe that you can't be grateful enough to everyone, just to everyone who's texted, to called, to email. Know that even though I am silent and quiet and I refuse basically to talk about very much lately, just know that all of your words, your sentiments, your prayers, and your thoughts mean such a great deal to me, probably more than I could ever describe to you. So just know that I appreciate you and your presence 150%. So thanks so much to everybody for listening to the show, for supporting me, supporting my children, for being patient during my hiatus. As far as I know, we should be able to stay up and running show-wise. So I look forward to having all of you tuning in. Any suggestions, comments, or even any guest suggestions, feel free to send me a message on the show page or an email at cin4251@gmail.com. So once again, if you're in town, I just gave you 6 different ways where you can attend local music. So get your butt out, even though it's a little colder out tonight. It looks like rain. Go out and support live local music. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Take care now.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.